People often say that war has its own smell. Veterans describe it as a mix of oil, smoke, and damp earth. But archives smell different. There is something dry in the air there, a faint trace of dust and time, as if someone opened a door into a moment that should have stayed sealed. That's where the story of Object Z begins, in the quiet, in the missing pages, in the strange absence that feels heavier than any recorded fact. In the summer of 1943, the waters off the coast of Normandy were restless. Fishermen complained that the sea behaved strangely, pushing objects toward the shore rather than dragging them away. One evening, a small crew reported a pale glow beneath the waves, moving slowly, almost deliberately. Most dismissed it as phosphorescent algae or reflected moonlight, but a few insisted the shape was metallic, a long shadow that did not sway with the current. The next morning, a fishing boat snagged something hard. The captain expected to pull up debris from a British or German aircraft. The sea was full of steel by then. But when the object surfaced, it was too smooth, too clean, too new. By the time the military arrived, the fishermen had gathered around the object in an uneasy silence. The soldiers approached with a confidence that faded the moment they looked closely. The wreckage didn't resemble any known aircraft part. There were no rivets, seams, or burn marks. The metal reflected light in a dull, cold way that looked almost unnatural. The team flipped the fragment over and discovered a hollow compartment inside. No wiring, no tubing, nothing that suggested function. Just curved panels, perfectly joined, reflecting a faint bluish tint under the dusk sky. Inside that hollow space lay a black oval capsule, smooth as glass but darker than obsidian. A young technician, the kind who touched things before he thought about it, reached out and ran his fingers across the surface. Later, he swore that it trembled under his hand, just slightly, as if responding to his touch. The soldiers exchanged glances. They said nothing. The capsule was loaded into a military truck under strict orders, no opening, no tampering, no unnecessary questions. The soldiers followed instructions, but fear clung to them like damp air. One sergeant whispered that the object gave him the same feeling as walking into a silent room where someone had just been standing. The truck left the coast after midnight, driving along an empty road toward a secure research site. For a while, everything was quiet. Then, without warning, light flickered inside the capsule, a brief flash, sharp and cold, like the reflection of a blade. The truck's engine died instantly, the headlights dimmed. Frost formed on the inside of the windshield, even though the night was warm. One of the soldiers later insisted that he saw a shadow moving inside the capsule during the flash. The official report dismissed it as exhaustion and optical distortion. But even in the written summary, someone had underlined the sentence 3 times, as if unsure. When the convoy finally reached the base, the capsule was placed in a reinforced room. Engineers examined the metal fragment first. Its surface resisted scratches, dents, and chemical tests. The alloy composition didn't match any known military material from either side of the war. The capsule proved even stranger. No visible seams, no openings, no indication of how it was made or what it might contain. Instruments reacted unpredictably around it. Electrical readings spiked without pattern. One thermometer inside the room shattered overnight, though the temperature in the logs remained normal. The young technician who had touched the capsule began complaining about a low humming noise at night. Not loud, more like a vibration inside his skull. Doctors diagnosed him with stress. The war produced more wounded minds than wounded bodies, after all. But he insisted the sound wasn't imagined. He said it felt alive. Then, documents began to disappear. At first, it was a set of photographs, then metallurgical reports, then an entire folder containing the initial field notes. When the head engineer confronted the officers, they told him the documents never existed. But he had held them in his hands. He remembered the handwriting. One night he saw two officers burning papers in a metal barrel behind the storage building. The flames glowed a strange shade of violet for a few seconds. He didn't dare ask questions. The room containing the capsule was sealed soon after. Only 2 people were allowed access, and their names were removed from the daily logs. Security at the base increased without explanation. Soldiers on guard duty were rotated every few hours, though they never said why. A week later, the capsule vanished. Not stolen, not transported, simply gone. The reinforced door was untouched. The lighting system showed no interruptions. Cameras inside the building, primitive, unreliable wartime devices, captured only static during the hours when the disappearance must have happened. The truck that supposedly moved the object is not listed in any motor pool inventory. Its license plate matches nothing. The technician who had heard the humming noise was reassigned, but no one ever found out where he went. His family received a letter saying he was transferred for long-term classified service. His name does not appear in any military records after that date. Rumors spread among the personnel who remained. Some said the capsule emitted radiation. Others claimed it generated a field that interfered with electrical systems. A few whispered that it was not a weapon, but a vessel, something designed to transport something. One scientist suggested the capsule could be a prototype built by a faction within Nazi Germany, experimenting with exotic materials. Another argued that the technology was too advanced. A third refused to speculate at all and eventually resigned, leaving behind a single cryptic phrase in his notebook: "Not human design." The official stance was simple. Nothing was found off the coast of Normandy. No object, no debris, no capsule. Yet scattered across various archives, British, American, even fragmented Soviet intelligence reports, there are small gaps, blacked-out sections, and abrupt references to an incident that is always described vaguely, as if the truth is an object too heavy to lift. One of the very few remaining documents contains a single line: "Terminate inquiry. Full erasure authorized." And that, perhaps, is the strangest part. Victors of war preserve everything: weapons, documents, even rumors that might someday prove useful. They keep secrets, yes, but they record them first. Here, someone tried not to keep a secret. Someone tried to erase the existence of a secret entirely. Stories like this linger not because of evidence, but because of the absence of it. Because human memory fills the spaces where ink has been removed. Because the sea sometimes returns what the world isn't ready to see. Object Z might still exist, locked away in a silent room without witnesses, the faint glow inside it pulsing like a hidden heartbeat. And until someone opens that room, the story will continue to breathe, quietly, stubbornly, just like the capsule itself.